Hi everybody, my name is Angie and I'm back to talk to you about what I'm doing to heal naturally from breast cancer. And about a week ago I posted a video about all of the high dose supplements that I do, and one of those supplements is iodine. And I realized after I reviewed that video that I didn't get into iodine quite as much as is probably necessary for you all to make informed choices and decisions about whether you even want to look into using it and doing your own research to see if it's something that you want to do. So I thought I would come back today and just do a little short video strictly about iodine, how I'm using it, and some of the things that you need to know about using iodine. So the first thing that I didn't mention last time that I want to make sure I mention this time is that if you have Hashimotos, Hashimotos is an autoimmune disorder. You'll likely know that you have it, but some people might not know. If you have Hashimotos, you should not be high dosing iodine. All right, so it's really important that anyone using iodine starts slow and does their research and doesn't just jump into a high dose. Although I did that, but I'm kind of an all or nothing person, so it's like, should jump right in. So I don't recommend that though, because of course, you want to be careful. You don't want to create any more issues for yourself than you might already have. And the reason I decided to do this extra video is firstly because I realized I forgot to provide some really pertinent information. And secondly, because I've had people reaching out to me asking me questions. And I have the answers to some of those questions, but to some of those questions I don't have the answers. So I'm learning just like you. And that's one of the reasons why I encourage you to always do your own research, because you're your own expert. There's a doctor, Dr. Andrew Saul, his name is, and he says, be your own doctor. And I think that that's really important. We really need to make sure that we understand what we're doing and take accountability and responsibility for our own health. So I mentioned already that if you have Hashimoto's, you really want to be cautious using iodine. There are some people that have Hashimoto's that use iodine, but in much smaller doses. And it is beneficial for them, but again, do your own research, okay? And please note, this is not medical advice. I'm just sharing my story and what I've learned along the way. So if you decide you want to try iodine, there's some really important things that you need to know. First of all, about a week before you start iodine, it's really important that you do what's called salt loading. Salt and iodine work together in our bodies. And when I say salt loading, I don't mean Hortons or Morton's or Norton's iodized salt, whatever it is, that iodized table salt. That's not the salt I mean. I mean Himalayan pink salt or Mediterranean salt, a proper sea salt that's full of minerals. And what salt loading is every day, what you do a week before you start iodine, is you take a half a teaspoon of salt and dissolve it in some warm water, and then you follow that with maybe 2 to 4 cups of water. And basically you're kind of starting to flush your system. So you do that every half an hour, 45 minutes until you start peeing a lot, like copiously peeing. And then your body's salt loaded for the day and you're good. So you do that every day for a week before you take your iodine. Now, there are some cofactors that need to go along with iodine, and so this is really important that you know. You need to be taking 300 to 500 milligrams of magnesium every day when you're using iodine. You also need to be taking selenium, 200 mcgs of selenium every day, and vitamin C. So maybe 1,000 to 2,000 units of vitamin C every 3 hours, or until bowel tolerance, until you flush. And so those are the 3 cofactors that are really important to take with your iodine in order for it to absorb properly into your body and work effectively. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that because I thought it was a really important piece of information that I didn't talk to you about the other day. At least I didn't in the first video. I did in the second video, but I don't know if you've seen the second video or not. So this one is strictly about iodine. So one of the ways that I found out about iodine is through a lot of Facebook groups that I'm on. So there's the Iodine Truth group, there's the Iodine Workshop, there's Healing Breast Cancer Naturally. All of these are posted on my links in my description on my YouTube channel. And it's really important that you check them out. My preference is to ask questions and talk to and listen to and learn from people with lived experience. So there's a lot of people out there who've been doing this for a long time and have had great success in healing from the different conditions that they're healing from. So please do check all of that information out. There's a book I want to recommend by Lynn Farrow. It's called The Iodine Crisis. And in that book, she's going to talk to you all about what I mentioned in the first video about how potentially 90% of the population is iodine deficient. And it's causing an awful lot of health problems, particularly thyroid, breast, ovarian, and prostate issues, and cancer. So the iodine is carried in the breast, and so if we don't have enough, it really starts to create a lot of issues with like, you know, the fibroid breasts and that sort of thing. So you just want to really make sure that your iodine levels are up to snuff, basically. So yeah, so Lynn Farrow, The Iodine Crisis. I have a few notes here. I just want to make sure that I'm getting everything because I don't want to miss anything. So 20% of iodine is carried in our skin. So that's where it's stored, is in our skin. So if we have a deficiency in iodine, what happens is we have dry skin. And I must say, oh, my skin feels amazing now. All of the different things I'm doing, but I'm sure iodine has something to do with it. So dry skin, as well as the inability to sweat. And I know I mentioned that in my last video. And there's a lot of studies that have been done about breast cancer and women's inability to sweat. So if you don't sweat, I never sweat. I do now, but I didn't before. And if you don't sweat, that's a high indicator that there's some issues going on and that you could develop breast cancer. So again, you really want to just look into that and make sure that you have proper iodine stores in your body. And I did mention in the last video that the reason we don't have iodine stores in our body is because our soil is now depleted of that. We don't have iodine in our soil anymore, whereas years ago we did. And the other thing is the bromides and all of the toxins in our environment, which we're full of toxins. So the bromides are being stored in our body where the iodine used to be stored. So I just want to mention that because I think it's just important that you know. Or I'm hoping I pique your interest so that you'll investigate it a little bit more and, you know, take a look around and do some research. Check out Lynn Farrow's book. It's very interesting. And somebody else that I was following for quite a while before I even started taking iodine is Dr. Brownstein. So you can find him on Gaia, and he's also on YouTube. He does a lot of lectures and that sort of thing. You know, I would look at his older lectures. They're just amazing. And I know on Gaia, I don't have the Gaia subscription, but I know he's on Gaia. And I think he's got 3 or 4 videos on there that are very, very informative. So I just recommend that you check that out. And then from there, make your own decisions and do your own research. And if you decide to take Lugol's, go for it. Lugol's iodine, as I mentioned last time, isn't a product or isn't a brand, it's a product. So you can get Lugol's 5% iodine in all kinds of different brands. So, you know, keep an eye out for it, but make sure it's Lugol's because there's all kinds of other different iodines out there too, but you really want to be taking the Lugol's. That's the one that's the most effective. So yeah, so I think that that's probably everything that I wanted to talk to you about iodine that I felt that I missed the other day. And I felt that it was really important information, especially about the cofactors. The magnesium, the selenium, and the vitamin C, and the salt loading that's necessary before you do it, because I just felt that that was really important. One last thing in terms of salt is that we should also be using some of the sea salt every day. So, you know, in your food, start salting your food a little bit more than maybe you have been if you haven't been using Himalayan sea salts or Mediterranean sea salts or Celtic sea salts. There's lots of different high mineral content salts out there that you can find. So that's it for today for our iodine talk, but I really just felt that it was important to let you know. Oh, there's one more thing. There's so much about iodine. I could probably talk for an hour. Iodine helps to detox. All of us have like lots of crap in us. So as you're building up your iodine in your body again, what it's doing is pushing those bromides out, because it's not allowing them to stay and settle. So, but it takes a bit of time for that to happen. The detox process is, you know, it can be slow, especially if we're full of toxins. If you have cancer, you're likely full of toxins. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. And they also wipe out any parasites that you have in your body. And I know I'm going to do another, my next video is going to be about detox. And I'll talk to you about the parasites that have been coming out of my body. And I know iodine has really helped with that. And I'm so happy that they're gone. It's kind of gross that they were there. But apparently lots of us have parasites. So especially those of us that travel a lot and eat in restaurants that might not be, that might not be sanitary. Not that that's a dig on restaurants. I mean, they do their best, I know, but these things happen, right? So we want to make sure that we are ridding ourselves of all of that stuff too. So I think that that's everything now. I always do this, I wind down and then I'm like, oh no, there's something else. And then I wind down and like, oh no, there's something else. Because there's always something else. And I'll probably mention iodine again down the road. But for today, I think that's it. So I just wanted to let you know, especially about those cofactors. And go to my YouTube page, and in the links, you'll find links to those Facebook pages that I mentioned and the books that I mentioned. And I'll throw a link to one of Dr. Brownstein's YouTube videos on there too. All right, so thanks again for watching. Thank you so much for all of your questions. I just really appreciate all of the support. If you think this is beneficial, please like it, please share it. Subscribe to my YouTube page, and that way you'll get my new videos as they come out. And yeah, so love you, peace, happiness, joy, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks so much.